You're listening to Sister Stargazers, celestial and terrestrial observations and advice from two real-life sisters. Hello, fellow stargazers. Your sisters are in the astrological house. Hi, Jude.
Hey, Sarah. How are you?
I'm doing great. We're in June now, and this episode is episode 39. We're looking at Sunday, June 5th through Saturday, June 11th, and we thought we would take this episode to concentrate or focus on a pretty significant aspect that's coming up in this week. So where shall we start?
Yeah, I was really surprised after all of what's been happening, day after day after day, we've had kind of these building of these aspects. And I've, tried to simplify it here on Sister Stargazers, but it was like, wow, I was looking at Sunday the 5th, Monday the 6th. We have, basically nothing happening in the sky.
Yeah.
It's pretty quiet. There's the first quarter moon. And the moon trines Uranus, and that's great. And then I started seeing, okay, Wednesday there's nothing happening, Thursday there's nothing happening, but then Friday it was Mercury trine Pluto, and at the same time the moon goes into Scorpio, and I was like, that's interesting. And then Saturday Venus conjuncts Uranus.
That's the one. That's the one.
And so that was like, and then I looked back to see when the influence starts, because Venus is making her way through Taurus. Beginning of the week, she's at 9 degrees Taurus. By Wednesday, she's getting a little closer and a little closer. By the 7th, she's 5 degrees apart from Uranus. And then by Saturday, the 11th, it's conjunct.
Yeah, there it is. Yep.
So I'm thinking that there's, Venus is our values, our beauty, our truth, our love.
In Taurus, which is the sign she rules.
Yes, the good things of life, And then she's coming up to Uranus, which is the lightning strike, the disruption, the something happening quickly, something happening fast, something
unexpected.
Yeah. So there's this buildup over the course of the week of getting closer and closer and closer, and then boom, something unexpected arrives or shows up the day after Mercury trines Pluto, which is Mercury trines Pluto is about exposure. It's about disclosure. It's about Mercury, the messenger, having just returned from the underworld, just having returned from being in retrograde, now meeting up with the Lord of the underworld in a trine, having a conversation, saying, did I just see that?
Yeah.
Are you telling me that happened? Is that for real? So there's this disclosure, this uncovering going on. And as Mercury gets more up to speed, there's an understanding that happens, like that this, whatever this disclosure or this something underhanded, undercover, something that wasn't supposed to come up is now coming up.
Right.
It happens at the same day that the moon goes into Scorpio, so it affects the public. Pluto rules Scorpio.
Yeah.
Mercury trines Pluto.
Yeah.
The moon is the public, so the moon is in reception of the information. And then the next day, Venus conjuncts Uranus. And it's not only that Venus conjuncts Uranus, but right next to Uranus is the asteroid goddess Pallas Athene. And Pallas Athene is the strategist. She's the craft person, the craft goddess. She's also the goddess of war, was, birthed out of the head of Zeus,
right?
Her dad. It was taken on all of the qualities of the masculine, but in a way that is incorporating the feminine understanding of craft and weaving, how things come together, how things come apart.
Yeah.
She's right there next to Uranus. She's only 2 degrees away. So Venus, Uranus, Pallas Athene, and then 4 degrees away from that is the North Node.
Whew. Okay.
Yeah. And then Mercury. So it's this slice of Taurus within basically the last 10 degrees of Taurus, 12 degrees. There's all this stuff happening.
Yeah.
So I thought we'd also could look at, to kind of get a sense of what this means, we could look at the Astrological Mandala.
Yes.
We could also look at the Rulership book to just get an understanding of first of what Taurus means.
Yes.
And then we could look at your cards, Sarah, because you pulled some really significant cards as well.
That sounds good. Yeah. I think it's good to be reminded of the qualities of Venus, the qualities of Taurus in that Rulership book. Why don't we start there?
Yeah. So Venus is fertility. She governs fields. She's flirtatious, florist. She's the day Friday. She's greetings. She's gems. She's hobbies, horticulture.
These are alphabetical, by the way.
Yes. I'm just looking through my book of rulership. Yep. Yes, Venus rules invitation. So anything like sociable.
Yes.
She rules intimacy, investments, also jugglers, ladies.
Right.
She rules laughter, lavishness. Yeah, these are, you getting the picture?
Yeah, pleasures.
Yes,
things you do in a society. It's an interesting combination of the social and the hostess with the mostess and value, like investments, stocks, how you use your money.
Yes, right. And orchards, things that produce from the land.
Sure, fertility, yes.
So that's why also she rules Taurus. Taurus is about value and production of the land. Commodities comes under Venus. So there's Venus for you, and we can look at Uranus.
Yes, please.
So Uranus is aberration. It's alienation. It's bombs, it's audacity, it's bail money, it's cyclones and curiosity, and it's constraint. It's also devices. Uranus can rule our internet and our devices. It's the dynamite. It can be eloping.
Surprise, upset, explosion.
Yeah. Unexpected.
Yeah.
Fire engines, fireworks. It can also govern fits and freaks and governors and hurricanes and insecurity and interlopers. So you're kind of getting the picture here.
Yeah.
It can govern marksmen and pistons and pistols. Anything that fires.
Yes, sure. Yeah, takes a shot.
It governs quakes and quizzes. Those pop quizzes, those were ruled by Uranus.
There you go.
Radio and television broadcasting. So here's where it feeds into Mercury.
Yes, right. Yes.
So there might be some surprising news that's linked to whatever comes up with Venus, what we value.
Yeah.
The last one we can look at is this sign, Taurus. So Taurus rules money lenders, profit and loss, purses. Taurus rules jewelry as a possession. Taurus rules finance, coins, bank tellers, artists, commercial artists, architecture. It rules bulls. It rules cabinet makers, the throat, anything to do with the throat. It rules musicians because they sing. It rules the neck, anything that affects the neck, like strangulation, suffocation. It rules the teeth, the lower teeth, the thyroid gland, wheat fields, where wheat is stored. It rules wealth, that kind of thing. Tonsils, toothaches, stables also, where your horses are kept. Your horses are valued. Their property.
Yes.
Taurus has everything to do with property and what we use on the material level to assist us in our work, in our status. That's all to do with Taurus.
Interesting.
So now that we know what Taurus means, we know what Venus means, we know what Uranus means, or actually what their affinities are, we also took a look at the Sabian symbol.
So they're meeting up. Venus is meeting up with Uranus. They're both in the sign of Taurus, around 17 degrees Taurus.
Yeah.
And we like to use the Astrological Mandala by Dane Rudyard to see what's happening at that degree.
Yeah. So Dane Rudyard says, Taurus, 17 degrees, is a symbolical battle between, quote, swords and torches. A symbolical battle between swords and torches. So this is not a real battle.
Right.
The keynote is refusing to depend upon the past. The seeker turns warrior, fighting anew the eternal, quote unquote, great war. The rest of the explanation has to do with Buddha. He talks a little bit about Buddha. So when the Gautama, before he became a Buddha, so when Gautama, having sought in vain for the answers to his questions among the teachers of tradition, sat under the Bodhi tree, he had to fight his own battle in his own way, even though it is an eternal fight. The spiritual light within the great soul must struggle against the ego will that only knows how to use the powers of this material and intellectual world. There is no possibility of escape. It is the energy that arises out of the present moment, the inescapable now, that the daring individual has to use in the struggle.
Right.
So this is kind of, looking at where Venus and Uranus are, it's somewhat of a moment of truth.
Yeah. Well, I'm listening to, material world, and Venus and Taurus are about the material world, and then Uranus, upset, shock, unexpectedness. We were talking about it maybe affecting what we truly value, which has been a theme we've been talking about with Venus in the last few weeks and months. But what is it we value? And then going within to sort of, and use the strategy, use Pallas, use our wisdom to sort of, what is it we've been holding on to? What is it we value? And something that may ask us to really identify truly. I think we called it a choice path, what it is we value, some deep decisioning.
Exactly. Yeah. It's going to be a choice for everyone.
Right.
The other piece of this aspect, which I really found curious, was that the whole grouping, Venus conjunct Uranus, is opposing the moon. Mm-hmm. And so Venus opposes the moon first. The moon is moving through Scorpio. So Venus opposes the moon first and then moves into the alignment with Uranus. And then as the moon moves on, there's the opposition remains. So there's something to do with the public as well. And the public is in Scorpio. The moon is in Scorpio, the sign of Pluto, which was meeting up with Mercury, which was about discovery and disclosure and exposure and stuff that we didn't know about before, we know about now. So this is partly what informs this surprise or this choice point is, now that we know this information and it affects the public, it's creating a new understanding. What is the choice that we make? And it's a surprise. It wasn't expected. There's something about this that wasn't expected. Now, what do we do?
Yep.
And then you got the card Judgment.
Yeah, Judgment came up as we were talking, and probably not so much judgment against others as much as your own judgment, your own assessment of what it is you're looking at, what it is you might be revaluing. As the Sabian symbol suggests, what from your past that you're bringing forward that you're now going to look at in order to step forward into maybe something new, or evaluating how your actions in the past have gotten to where you are. Those values don't serve you anymore. What are you going to move forward? So this sort of internal judgment that this time might be asking us to be with.
And there were a couple other cards I thought that was really interesting, the other cards that came out, Sarah.
Just out of the corner of my eye, the medicine deck, which are the animal cards, came just, I thought, I'm just going to see what these have to say, because we were really kind of trying to suss this out. And especially talking about the greater soul versus the ego will, material world versus the illusion of the world we want to create. So the first card that came out was Dragonfly. And the very first thing that Dragonfly says is, Dragonfly medicine is of the dream time and the illusionary facade we accept as physical reality. And that speaks to the dragonfly's wings and how iridescent it is. And that was very interesting, as well as If you feel the need for change, call on Dragonfly to guide you through the mists of illusion to the pathway of transformation, which is basically Buddha, going under the tree.
Trying to figure it out.
Trying to figure it out. Meanwhile, the other card that fell out with Dragonfly is Ant. And of course, when we think of an ant, when we think of preparation and getting everything ready, but the keynote for Ant is actually patience. The ant's medicine is the strategy of patience, which I thought was interesting when we talk about Pallas Athene and being the strategist. If Ant meandered into your cards today, it's time to show a little trust and patience in some life situation. You may need to use some strategy. How can you put to use your power of creation until what you need arrives, whatever it means to you at this time? Ant is working for the good of the whole. Are you? If you are, be assured that the whole wants the same goodness for you and that it will be provided.
So, whatever happens when Venus connects with Uranus, whatever surprise or insight or, it may not be catastrophic. It might just be that, somehow it's like a scrim is removed from our vision and we see things very clearly. Or it can be something of a surprise to some people, but maybe not a surprise to others. But something comes that is unexpected.
The word that keeps coming into my mind is re-evaluation. That if Venus and Taurus are about value and what we value, it seems like Uranus is throwing a lightning strike at us as they meet up to be like, re-evaluate. What is it you value?
Yeah, well, it's going to be a recalibration also, because whatever sparks fly when Venus meets up with Uranus is going to ask us to make some decisions, like, where do we want to spend our money and how do we want to support ourselves and how can we pay for some things or not pay for other things? And there are those bigger discussions and it's going to involve the public. That's what I see with the moon being opposing this particular stellium in Taurus.
Okay. I will say too, in this week, this Monday, June 6th, you can listen to us live on the air with our debut call-in astrology show on WMPG.org, 7 p.m. Eastern time, live call-in astrology show where we'll be on the air taking calls and just having casual conversation around all things celestial and terrestrial. And
we'd love to have you guys on the air. That would be so fun.
Well, thank you very much for this week.
Thank you, Sarah.
All of you out there, have a wonderful week, and we'll talk to you next time.
Bye for now, everyone.
Thanks for listening to Sister Stargazers. Let us know what worked for you this week. Find us on Facebook and post a comment at Sister Stargazers.